Okay, there we go. All right, so starting to settle into your breath here, letting your lower back relax into the ground. Let your shoulders soften. And start to cultivate a nice diaphragmatic breath. And so as you breathe in and out, see if you can feel the diaphragm moving down as you inhale and returning as you exhale. And allow the belly to rise and fall with that breath. We're going to stay with this for a few more moments. And I'm just going to take you on a little journey through our being, right? So I feel like sometimes when we focus on these, what I call the geeky anatomical things, which are fun to focus on, sometimes we lose sight of the more subtle aspects of our yoga practice. So the outermost layer of our being, or the most obvious, the most gross, our physical level, is our myofascial. And that's related to everything physical in our bodies. And that's kind of our main focus today. But I'd like for you to also have a little retention of the other aspects of your being as we progress through our practice today. So now the second most subtle layer of our being is our breath, the prana myofascial. So see if you can maintain a focus on your breath throughout your practice. And doing so here. So allowing that rise and fall of the abdomen. A lot of times we're always sucking our bellies in. If we suck it in all the time, our diaphragm never descends fully. And we can end up feeling very anxious because we don't get that full, deep breath. So see if you can allow the belly to be soft. So there's a rise and fall as you inhale and you exhale. The third layer of our being, getting more subtle, is our thought processes. So can we be aware of our thoughts and what we're preoccupied with as we practice? And maybe instead of getting wrapped up in something you've got to do later, see if you can retrain your thoughts to come back to the present moment. And take about another 30 seconds or so here. Going deeper still is our wisdom. So our wisdom body, different than our thoughts, right? So we use our wisdom to make choices, right? So we've gained experience in our lives, and that helps us create wisdom. So we use our wisdom in our practice when we decide, is a particular movement appropriate for me today? And if it's not, we might choose to modify, we might choose to skip it. So always feel free to make your own choices based on your own wisdom. And then finally, last part of our being, the most subtle, is our bliss body. So when we get to that most subtle aspect of our being, we experience bliss. And ideally, at the end of our practice, when we're in Shavasana, we can get to that blissful state. So let's just take 3 more breaths here, noticing how a few moments of breathing affects your physical body, your myofascial. And then from here, go ahead and separate your feet as wide as your mat. That's it. And then we're going to just start with your right leg. Slowly drop that right knee in towards your left foot. In, yeah, there you go. And you might need to widen your left foot a little more and make space. And then bring it back up. And you're just going to simply move that right leg like a windshield wiper in and back to start. And as you do that, you're going to start to notice maybe a little resistance on the side of your leg and say hello to that IT band. And then just do that about 2 more times. So just like a lever, and just kind of noticing how far it goes down. Maybe it can go a little farther each time. And then let's switch sides. And noticing differences between your first side and your second side. So as we talked about in the beginning, sometimes there's an imbalance. One side is tighter than the other. It might be very subtle, but just be aware of differences from one side to the other. Good. One more time on this side. And then bringing yourself back to that center point, walk your feet back in. And now we're going to cross the right leg over the left leg. As if you're going to do eagle pose, there's no space between the legs. Take your arms out to a T. And we'll take an inhale, and as you exhale, drop those legs over to the left. Again, you might feel that resistance along the outer leg, outer hip. And now we're going to go to the other side. So take it over to the right. And then maybe we feel that on the left side. And just simply going side to side a few times, rolling across your sacrum. And you might let your head start to turn the opposite way of your knees. Let's do 2 more cycles. And if it feels okay for you, go ahead and just close your eyes. And really tune into the sensations in your body. So we can drop out of thought and into sensation. Now, after that second time, go ahead, come back to center and uncross and change sides. So now left leg crosses over. You might even scoot your hips a little bit to the left and then rock your legs side to side. And just feeling that area along the side of the hip. Maybe a little bit into the glute medius, the top of the hip, the TFL, all the way down to your outer knee. All right, coming back to center again, uncross, and lose your pillow if you have a pillow under your head. We're going to take the left leg out straight and keep the right leg bent. Widen your feet and your legs as wide as your mat, and take your right arm and reach it overhead. Keep your left arm down at your side. We're going to take an inhale, and as you inhale, push off your right foot. Let your right knee drop over to the left and reach through your right arm. Really press off that foot and then release and come back to the start. And let's do that a few more rounds. On the inhale, you move. Press into your foot, reach through your arm. Maybe find a little back bend there. And then release. And let's do 2 more on this side. So moving on the inhale, pushing off your foot, reaching through your arm. We're getting into a whole band of fascia along the right side of our body. And this lateral chain of fascia is also in Chinese medicine, our gallbladder channel. Last time. And then let's release. Let the right leg come out and bend the left leg. And we'll do that on the other side. So left arm goes overhead, right arm down at your side. Push off that foot and inhale, reach through the arm. And then go ahead and do that a few more times. Again, maybe noting, is there a difference in sensation from one side to the other? And we're going to do 3 more times, so a total of 5. The gallbladder channel is also related to things like frustration and anger, stuck energy in our bodies. So if we're dealing with a lot of frustration and anger, maybe our IT bands are going to be part of that equation. Last time here. And then slowly release and let that leg come out and just have a pause. And then grab your strap. And we're going to take the strap up around your right foot, as if we're doing like a hamstring stretch here. But we're going to take it more to IT band. If you want that pillow again, you're welcome to have a pillow under your head. Now we're going to take the leg and hook your right thumb in your hip crease and roll it a little forward. So you're just moving that hip a little forward, and then flex through your right foot. Hold your strap just in your left hand. Reach up through your heel, and then we're going to take an inhale, and as you exhale, bring the leg over to the left about 6 inches. So we're not going all the way. So you're going to keep that left leg right on the ground and not roll to the left hip. Now you're going to stay there and roll that right hip away from you again, and then maybe come another inch or 2 over to the left. Now, if you want to make this a little juicier and get a little more sensation, tip your foot a little bit over to the left, and that gets a little bit into the outer stripe of your leg, especially in that lower leg. So there's a connection there through the fascia as well. Normally, we don't sickle the foot in yoga, but here, just for a moment, it's okay. All right, maybe we come a little bit farther, but if you roll to your left hip, you've gone too far. Now, last thing, bring your awareness to your right foot. You can flex it again if you sickled it, and try to lift your foot, but use your left hand to pull on the strap. So you're using your left hand to pin that foot in place and try to lift it, and you'll feel that engagement along the outer hip, the outer leg, outer knee. Hold for another breath. And then we're going to slowly release and come back up and hug your knee into your chest. Go ahead and switch sides. So now bring that strap around the left foot, and we'll get into the left IT band. So hold with your right hand, hook your thumb in your left hip crease and roll it a little forward. So press your thigh bone forward, flex your foot, and then staying on that right leg, right hip, don't roll to the side, come over about 6 inches and keep rolling your hip a little forward. Notice differences from side 1 to side 2. And then you might sickle your foot to get that little bit of extra outer leg work. Maybe come over a few more inches. Notice where you feel any restriction. And come back to your breath, always coming back to the breath. And now flex the foot again and try to lift your leg, but use your right hand to pin yourself in place by holding that strap really firmly, and then try to pull the leg away from the strap. And see if you can feel any sensation here in that outer leg. Maybe you come over across a little bit more, keep trying to lift the leg, roll your hip forward. Good, and now release, go ahead, come up and let that strap go. And hug your knees into your chest. Roll over to your right side. So we're gonna do a little bit of groundwork today because it's kind of hard to get into IT band standing in the way that I want to. We will do some standing work in a little bit, but just know that we got to do some prep work here on the ground. So if you want a pillow under your head, you can grab something for under your head. And we're gonna make a loop in our strap. So I'm gonna have it about hips distance apart. It's gonna go around your thighs. If you don't have a strap, please don't worry. You can do this without a strap, okay? Strap just adds a little resistance, makes it a little more juicy, a little more interesting. So I've got like maybe 2 feet of the strap, and just set that aside once you've got it. And then you'll come down on your side with your knees stacked up. And maybe a pillow under your head, or you can also rest your head on your arm. Okay, top leg, take it out in front of you. Flex your foot, and then lift that leg up as high as you want to go, and then lower it down. Now here's the trick. I want you to go super slow motion, as if it would take you a full minute to go up and down. So like a 30-second coming up and a 30-second coming down. And then imagine that it's really hard to push your foot down, like you're pushing something heavy down. So we add a little bit of resistance. And then as we lift up, we're doing the same. We're feeling that resistance as if the air is really thick and really heavy. And you're going to probably feel that all through that outer leg. Let's do that another time or two. Good. Last time, and then we're going to hold it up on this next one. So coming down and then coming up, and hold it up about maybe 2/3 of the way. Good. Now we're going to pulse it 10 times. So pulse it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And now hold it up and release. Bring that leg down and maybe kind of massage it out, tap it out, and then grab your strap. So now we're going to take the strap around your thighs. So you got to come out of the pose for a minute. And you're going to put them around your mid thigh. And we want there to be a little bit of slack. So we're going to do some leg lifts. Sometimes we call these clam shells. They're really good at targeting this kind of TFL area and the outer hip. So have maybe a couple inches there of looseness, because then we're going to take the top leg and lift it and lower it. I like to hold my tail because sometimes when you push against the strap, it loosens. Make sure your buckle's not on your flesh. Okay, here we go. Lift up, press this leg into the strap, feel the resistance, and then lower down. If you need to, tighten your strap. And then repeat, lift up, press against the strap, and lower down. Keep going. Hold on to that buckle and strap if it's loosening up. Each time you lift, press against the strap. Now, if you don't have a strap, you're still lifting and lowering, and use a little feeling of resistance as you do so. Now, hold it up there, press against the strap, and tiny pulses 10 times on your own. After the 10th time, hold it up there, feel that little extra burn, and let it go. Roll it out, tap it out, and then we're going to go do the other side. So flip over, and let's take the strap off so we do the straight leg work first. So I want to keep facing you guys, so I'm going to flip this way. Stack up your knees and take that top leg out in front of you. Now know that that bottom leg is already fatigued. So this side might feel a little harder because that bottom leg has to press into the ground to lift the top leg. So as you're ready, lift, flex the foot, and lower. And you're moving through that resistance. Lift and lower. Keep going. Notice that bottom leg pressing into the ground as you lift and lower. Now it's already getting tired, perhaps, but that's getting a little bit of work as well through the IT band. Hold it up there, 10 pulses. After your 10th pulse, hold it up for a moment and release. And roll it out, tap it out, and grab your strap. And after this, we're going to get moving a little bit. So put that strap around your thighs. Try to situate the buckle so it's not on your flesh. And then we're going to hold on to the buckle to make sure that the strap doesn't loosen up. As you're ready, start your lift, press into the strap, and lower. And then go ahead and do that a few more rounds. And if these are areas you haven't worked on in a while, just you might feel this over the next day or two. So try not to curse me out. You did good work for yourself. One more time. Lift and lower, and then this next time we hold it up. So hold it and 10 little pulses. After that 10th pulse, hold it up, press against the strap, and release. Let it go. All right, go ahead and come off of all of that. Set your strap to the side, and then let's come into seated. Put your feet out in front of you. And then let's cross right ankle over left knee. And ooh, that might feel good after all that work. Get a little stretch into this area. Flex the foot gently. And now hold here a moment. Press your shin and your leg into each other. And then imagine a string at your inner knee. Draw the inner knee to the right. Last step, pull your sit bones and your tailbone down. And then hold here for another breath or two. If you want to add a little challenge here, you can add a little reverse tabletop lift up. So you can press through that foot, lift up, lift your hips, lift your gaze, and then release. Or you can just stay working on the ground. So if you like, do 2 more of your reverse tabletop. Really drive through your heel as you do this. Use your triceps and release. As you come down, kind of press down through the sit bone, tailbone area. One more time. Good. And then let's release and do the other side. So left ankle to knee, pause here first and press the shin and the leg into each other, extend through the inner knee, and then pull down through the tailbone and the sit bones, broaden across your collarbones. Hold here one more breath. And then those of you who want can do 3 rounds of reverse tabletop. So press and lift up, drive through your heel. Keep those collarbones wide. As you come down, press down, and 2 more times. Or stay working on the ground if that's your jam today. Remember, honoring your body, using your wisdom. And then we're going to release. Good. Take that leg out, stretch the legs out, shake it out. And then we're going to come into tabletop, all fours. Feel free to grab a blanket for under your knees if you have a hard surface. All right, so a couple rounds of cat-cow here, starting to get a little bit more movement. So we'll take an inhale and exhale, round through your spine, pulling your tailbone and your head towards each other, and then inhale, tailbone and head move away from each other. So go ahead, let's take about 2 or 3 more cycles. See if we can stay on the midline as you move through these postures. So try not to wobble through your hips. Last round. And then go ahead and walk your hands forward a few inches. Turn your hands out a hair, really press through your palms, and we're gonna come up to down dog. So if you have a blanket, you can take that out, and then we'll come up to down dog. So set that up again, move your hips back and lift up. Now start out with just a little pedaling, bending one knee and then the other. We're gonna hold our dog for a little bit longer here. So what we're gonna do is pause, Widen your feet just a little bit so they're about maybe outer hips distance. And we're going to bring the right heel down to the ground and spin it in a little bit. So the heel comes down, you're spinning in, your toes spin out, and now push back through your right hip. And let your left knee swivel a little bit. Swivel a little bit toward your right. And really push through your hands, draw your right thigh back, and then let's switch. So if you're not sure, you're welcome to take a moment and watch. So I'm going to spin my left heel in and down to the ground. My right knee bends, and then I push through my hands, push the hips back, and swivel that knee a little bit toward the left. And we're getting into that kind of top of the hip area, maybe a little IT band. And then release. Knees down and go ahead, take a brief child's pose. One more breath here. And then coming back into tabletop and grab your blocks, bring your blocks in under your hands. We're going to step forward with the right foot, coming into a lunge. And then first, stay here in the lunge for a moment. Root down through your front heel and think about firming this hip in so your right hip doesn't swing to the side. And that's that kind of IT band helping to stabilize this leg. And then from here, tuck the back toes, lift the back knee off the ground. So we're now in a higher lunge. Try to keep your right sit bone in and right behind your knee. Press through your front heel, extend through your spine. Hold here one more breath. Push through that front heel. And then slowly drop that knee back down to the ground. And we're going to untuck the back toes for a moment, walk your blocks back, and see if you can straighten your front leg. So press down if you can through the top of the back foot. If it feels better, tuck your toes, that's fine. So press through that. And now we're going to take the blocks both over to the right side. So we're in like a little half split twist. Good. Okay. So while you're doing that, push down through your right heel, pull the sit bone in, firm the outer hip in, and then come into that little bit of a twist. So we're not twisting through the hips, it's more through the upper body. Try to pull that sit bone a little bit back. Front sit bone. All right, and then let's come back through center and step that foot back. Good, other side, step forward. Pause here first with the knee down. Root through this front heel and keep the hip firming in. We want to imagine kind of like we've got a block between our inner thighs. And that helps keep those hips firming, keeps our IT band supporting us. And then we can tuck the back toes, lift that back knee. Root straight down through the front heel and firm your hips in. Make sure we're pulling that left sit bone in so it's behind the knee. Hold here another breath. See if you can feel that outer hip trying to stabilize you. And then release, back knee down. And if you like, top of the foot flat, starting to walk your blocks back and straighten the front leg. Try not to lock your knee. And then both blocks come to the outside. Walk it around. And as I walk around, I start to feel a little bit in here in the back right outer hip. You might also feel it in the side of the left leg. It all depends on where your body, like patterns in your own body. All right, walk it back through center, bend into that knee, step it back. All right, let's come back to down dog from here. And then we're gonna walk feet to meet the hands. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold forward over your legs. And inhale, reach the arms all the way out and up. Exhale, arms down at your side. Good. Hands on hips, standing in a mountain pose, rooting through your legs. And then we're going to take the right leg and cross it in front of the left and come on the ball of your foot. This is the pose from the picture I used for the class. We're going to squeeze the inner thighs together, lift your front hip points up, and draw your tailbone down. Now this might be enough, already kind of rooting through that front ball of the foot. Otherwise, we're going to take the right arm, reach it up. Good. Again, press through that ball of the foot, squeeze your inner thighs, keep your belly lifting, and then side bend over to your left. And we're going to keep driving through the ball of the foot and also the heel of the standing foot. Hold here, another breath. Maybe you want to come a little bit more. And then slowly release. Come up and uncross. Now let's try the other side. Cross the left foot in front. Forgot to mention, you can also hold a wall if you don't feel balanced here. Drive through the ball of the foot, heel of the standing leg. You might stay here or left arm up. Inhale, get a little taller, and then exhale, side bend over to the right, pushing through the ball of the foot, pushing through your heel, keep the hip points lifting. As you hold here, you might want to come a little bit farther if you're stable. Reach through your arm. So get that whole side chain of our connective tissue stretching. Good, and release, coming back up and step out of the pose. All right, couple sun salutations, and we're going to do some standing poses. So standing at the top of your mat, inhale, arms reach. Exhale, fold over your legs. Inhale, halfway lift. Hands can be on the floor, shins, or thighs. Step back, plank pose. Pause in your plank for a moment. You can always drop knees. Firm your arms, reach your chest forward and lower down. Reach back through the tops of your feet. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Holding here for another breath. Send those hips up and back. And then big inhale as you exhale, step or lightly jump, top of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, hands to your heart. And again, inhale, arms reach. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Step back, plank pose, top of a push-up. Lower down, knees can drop if you like. You can take an up dog if you wish, or stick with a cobra. Downward facing dog. Now this time, staying here, inhale your right leg straight up behind you. We're gonna bend the knee, do the hip opener. We're gonna firm that other hip in. So left hip really firms in, find a boundary. And then we might straighten and bend that top leg a few times. On your next inhale, square up your hips and step through to a lunge. Spin your back heel down. We'll find warrior one. Bend deeply into this front knee and then reach your arms up. As you bend a little deeper into your front knee, get a sense that your front sit bone is behind your knee and root into your front heel. As you root into your front heel, you might feel a little bit more engagement here in that sit bone area. That's the area that gets weak and overstretched when we sit. Hold here another breath. Now from here, release your hands down, find your blocks. We're going to spin onto the ball of the back foot, so we're back in a lunge. Reaching your chest forward, root into that front heel. Take an inhale, reach your chest forward, come high up on your arms, And as you exhale, we're gonna straighten the front leg and come onto the heel. So we're lifting the toes. And then bend into your knee. Inhale, reach the chest forward. Exhale, slide back. Now repeat that a few more times, noticing the whole time that this front band is helping to keep you stable here. So you want to feel like you're on a railroad track, moving forward and back between these two poses. All the while, we don't let that right hip sway out to the side. Now bend it again, come into the lunge. Walk your blocks a little forward of your front foot. Press through that front heel. And now we're gonna step forward and come into a little balance. So I call this like a flamingo. So your knees are together, the back foot is lifting, and you're firming that front hip in. Step back to the lunge and move your blocks back. Good. So if that's too much, you can just stay working on the lunge. We're gonna try that a few more times. Blocks forward, step forward, little flamingo, step back, blocks back. That outer hip is stabilizing you. One more time, blocks forward, step forward, come back, blocks back. Good. Stay here now in the lunge. Firm your hips into center like you're hugging a block. And then on your next inhale, right arm opens up into a twist. Good. Root through the front heel. Try to get the sit bone behind the knee and reach up through the top arm and your back inner thigh. One more breath. And then we release that hand down. When you're ready, step it back, downward facing dog. I hope you guys felt that in the outer hip. Now, let's take a vinyasa if you like. So if you can stay in your dog as another option. Child's pose, option number 3. Whatever feels best in your body. All right, meeting back in your dog. And let's try side 2. So inhale, left leg up, bend your knee, open your hip, and then right sit bone pulls in so it's over your heel. And let that right heel drop if you can. And then a few times, straighten and bend the left knee. Keep your shoulders square, try not to pinch into your right shoulder. Next inhale, straighten your legs, step through, come into your lunge, find your blocks. All right. So we're gonna spin onto the ball of that back foot if you haven't. Oh, no, wait, I forgot warrior 1. Let's spin that back heel down and rise up. Then we'll come into the lunge. Okay, so bending deeper into that front knee, keep your sit bone behind the knee. We're still trying to kind of firm those legs in. Root into your back heel as well. And maybe firm up into this back outer hip that's getting into that same area. Hold here, one more breath. And then we're gonna release the arms down. Okay, now spin onto the ball of that back foot. Okay, so here we're gonna do the straighten and bend. So we're gonna start to straighten the front leg, lift your toes, and then re-bend. Try to find that sensation of being on a railroad track so that the sit bone, the knee, and the ankle all stay on that same line. And you're not shifting your hips off that line. Let's do that one more time. Good, and then walk your blocks forward and try that balance. So step up, little flamingo, root into your heel of the standing leg, and then step back. 2 more times like this on your own. Blocks forward, press through the heel, come back. One more time, blocks forward, press through the heel, and come back. Okay, staying here in the lunge now. Hug the outer hips in, reach your chest forward. And then when you're ready, you're going to take left arm up into the twist. Now stabilize through your hips as you twist here. So try not to twist also through your hips. Keep them stable by firming in, root into the front foot. One more breath. And then slowly release, set your blocks to the side and step back, downward facing dog. Look forward, step or lightly jump, top of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, rise up. And exhale, bring your hands to your heart. Then pause in your mountain pose for a moment. It's a little break in the vinyasa. We'll come back to it. Root through your feet, lift through your chest. And keep that lift in the low belly and the length in the tailbone. We're going to widen the feet a little bit so we feel stable. And lean towards your right foot. Come onto the toe of your left foot. Good, so micro bend that right knee so we're not locking it. Hands to hips. And now we're going to try and lift that left leg off the ground. As soon as we do, we're going to feel that work in the outer hip. And now let's lower and lift. Now, can you avoid using momentum here and go slowly? Drive through the right heel. That leg's working as well. And let's try two more. One, lower slowly and controlled. And now hold it up there, 10 pulses. Good, and hold it up, and release. All right, shake it out a little bit. You're welcome to hold on to a wall if you want to as well. Remember, that's always a choice. And now let's shift to the left leg, come onto the toe of the right foot. Keep that hip firming in. We're not letting it pop out to the side. Lift into your belly muscles. Micro bend the left knee and try to lift that leg up. Now remember, this leg's already tired, so do the best you can. Try to move slowly. I'd rather have you move slowly than lift it higher. So use control. Might be a little shaking in that other leg. That's okay. Hold it up, 10 little pulses. Hold it up, and release. Let it go, and maybe just kind of circle those hips around a little bit, release that work. Go both directions. Okay, so we're gonna add on to that sequence we just did. So we're gonna add on pyramid and revolved triangle pose, and we'll add in that little balance step in between as an option. So all those movement patterns are optional. You can always back off if you need to. So let's come back to the top of the mat. Make sure your blocks are still handy. Inhale, reach the arms. This is kind of the last standing hard sequence. We're gonna chill it out then a little bit. Fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift, and take your vinyasa. You can always skip and go right to dog if you like. Totally your choice. Meeting in dog, and then inhale your right leg straight up. We're gonna go right to warrior one. Step forward, reach your arms up. Bring your hands to your hips. Step your back foot in a few inches, and we're gonna straighten both legs, preparing for pyramid pose. So now we wanna firm those hips in and not let that right hip pop to the side as we come into a forward fold. So hug the inner thighs, root through your feet. Inhale the arms up. As you exhale, slight bend in that front knee, hinge forward, and put your blocks under your shoulders. Now adjust your feet. I feel a little short, so I'm going to take that foot back a little bit. You can adjust right to left so you feel really stable. And then try to pull that right sit bone in so it's behind your ankle and your knee. Inhale, lift through your chest. Press through the front big toe mound. Press through the back heel. And then option to fold here over that leg. You can lower your blocks if you like, or go all the way to the ground. Keep that front sit bone drawing in behind your knee, behind your ankle. And find that front big toe mound and back center of your heel. Maybe folding a little more. All right, next inhale, let's come back up on our blocks. So revolved triangle is pretty challenging pose, so we can modify here a little bit. We're gonna take the block that's in our left hand, and you're gonna put it right next to your big toe. Now, if it feels like it's high, lower it down. And then when you're ready, transfer your right hand to your right hip and hook your thumb in your hip crease like we did on our backs. And pull that hip back and in so that sit bone is drawing in. Keep pressing through your front big toe mound. Inhale, reach your chest forward. Exhale, twist, but don't let that hip turn or come out to the side. Keep it pinned in. Rotate through your ribs and your shoulders, and maybe take that top arm and reach it up. Good. If you need to, you can be on the ball of your back foot. Otherwise, that heel is down. Squeeze the inner thighs. Good. Release. Hand back down. Both hands on the blocks. Blocks are on the same level. And now we're going to shift forward. Find your little balance, little flamingo. And then shift back and twist. So adding the twist on now. Good. Hand down. Blocks forward. Flamingo. Step back. Straighten that leg. Twist. One more time. Remember, you can skip this part if you want. Step forward, step back, and twist. Nice. Hold it here now. Another breath. And release. Nice work, guys. Step it back, down dog. Take a vinyasa if you wish. Hold your dog, or if you need a quick child's pose between side two. I can see who the wise ones are out there. And then we'll meet in our downward facing dog. Follow that wisdom. Take breaks when you need to. Let's try the other side. So inhale, left leg. We're coming into warrior one. Step through, spin the back heel down, arms reach. Hands to your hips. Step the back foot in a few inches. Straighten both legs, square your hips forward. Hug the inner thighs. Come back to your breath. On your next inhale, arms reach. Exhale, hands come down, bring the blocks under your shoulders. And then make any adjustments to your feet. Do you feel too short, too long, too narrow? Make your adjustments. So for me, if I'm not aligned well with the legs, I can't get that front sit bone to pull in. So adjust so you can get that left sit bone behind your knee and your ankle. Press through your front big toe mound, your back heel. Inhale, lift your chest. You can stay here or fold over that front leg. In which case you might lower or lose your blocks. Send the inner thighs back and keep that sit bone hugging in. You might let your head release and come a little deeper, but maintain that stability in your outer hips. One more breath. All right, next inhale, let's come back up onto the blocks. And you're going to bring the block that's in your right hand to your left big toe. Place that hand on the block, and then the other hand transfers onto your hip. Good. Pin that hip crease in and back. Sit bone behind the knee. Inhale, lift and reach your chest forward. Exhale, turn into the twist. As you turn into the twist, keep those hips hugging in. You can keep hand on hip for a moment to reaffirm your legs. Front big toe, back heel. Then maybe that arm reaches up. Good. You guys look great. Big wingspan through your arms. Really hug your inner thighs. And then let's go ahead and work on that balance. So we're going to bring the hands back to the blocks. Shift the blocks forward. Come up to a flamingo. Root through the heel. Step back. Open to the twist. And then go ahead and do that 2 more rounds on your own. I'm just going to watch you guys rather than have my back to you. Nice work. Remember to move mindfully, slowly, with control. Last time. Excellent. And then when you're ready, you're going to slowly release, coming back. 1 more moment in that twist if you like, and then step it back, downward facing dog. Last vinyasa, if you'd like to take one, let's all meet in child's pose. So now we're going to kind of bring things down, chill things out a bit. Let's meet in child's for a few breaths. Come back to noticing breath, thought, wisdom, sensations in the physical body. Let's have 1 more full breath here. Exhale all the way out. And then we'll come back up to down dog. And we're going to take a pigeon pose as a great stretch for this area. And then we're going to add on some variation from there. So we're going to slide your right knee by your right wrist, left leg is straight back. Now, if this knee bothers you and you have that tightness from kind of that cranky IT band, you're going to want to put something under your right sit bone. So you could do a block, a folded blanket, or a pillow. If you're okay without, you don't have to do that. Okay, so let's pause here for a moment. The shin is kind of more on an angle rather than that straight 90-degree angle. That's going to be a lot more irritating here. But I want you to press down through your legs. So press down through the front shin, the back of the top foot, and hug the sit bone in toward the middle a little bit. All right, so you can always stay here or you can come down and come into kind of the more chill pigeon. But we're still applying a little bit of that effort downward and pulling the sit bone back and in. Think about your tailbone reaching back as your chest and head are reaching forward. And now after a little bit of time now, just let it all go. So be a totally chillaxed pigeon. Let go of that pressing, release, and have a few moments of just surrendering. If you notice that that knee is just not tolerating this, you can do your figure 4 on your back. That's another good option, but it looks like everyone's doing fine. Last breath here. And then we're going to slowly walk the hands up. And then we're going to come into a twist. We're going to shift toward the right sit bone. Swing the back leg around, and then I'm going to come to face you. So Ardha Matsyendrasana. You might want to pull in something to sit on if you feel like that's helpful for you to keep your low back in. Stage 1, step the right foot in front of the left shin. Stage 2, cross it over. Whatever is more appropriate for your body, try to even those sit bones out. Hug your shin with your hands and sit up tall. Find a connection between your lower leg and your top shin and press them together. Now, just holding on with your left arm, reach your right arm up. Inhale, go taller, and as you exhale into the twist over to your right. Now, pausing here, draw your right sit bone back, and then find a connection between your right shin and your right hand and press them into each other as you pull your sit bone back. Lift your chest, lift the crown of your head, and then come to your breath. One more here. And then on your next inhale, unwind back to center. We're going to see if we can find Gomukhasana. So we're going to stack up our knees and bring the feet out toward the sides. For some of us, we need to sit up on a block to make this accessible. So pull that in if that's the case for you. You can also just do a Sukhasana and do a simple cross-leg position if this is completely uncomfortable for you. Now squeeze the inner thighs, bring your hands back behind you for a moment, lift your chest. All right, and then from here, we're gonna walk the left hand to the left a little bit and use your right hand to pin that hip down. Maybe walk it out a little bit more. Stay there for another breath, turning your chest more a little bit over to your right. Look toward your right shoulder. Pull the sit bone away from the knee on that right side. Good, slowly release, come back up. And now right hand comes down, walk it out. Pin your left hip down. Turn a little bit towards your left. Root down through your left upper leg. And now maybe take that arm up and over into a side bend. Press the legs into each other, pull the sit bone down. Good, and then slowly, slowly, very mindfully releasing back to center, and then optional to fold forward. If folding forward doesn't feel right for you, you can stick with a cross leg or stay vertical. And then come to the breath. Be aware of your thoughts. Tap into your own innate wisdom. So often we're looking outside of ourselves for answers. Our yoga philosophies teach us that if we quiet the mind enough, we find those answers within. All right, slowly starting to come up, lean back, unwind your legs, and let's just do a little windshield wiper, release that work. Nice job, guys. All right, we got one more side to go, and then we'll be close to Shavasana time. So let's make our way back into tabletop and find a dog. You might choose to kind of move around a little bit before we do the second side. So maybe pedal it out, sway your hips, work it out a bit. And then when you're ready, pigeon left knee toward left wrist, right leg straight back behind you. So grab that support under your left sit bone if you needed it, or flip to your back for figure 4. We're gonna stay up and do what I call our type A pigeon first. We make the pigeon work, then we get to be more relaxed. So press through your front shin and your back leg. And already that helps me feel that front outer band a little bit more. Try to move your sit bone in a little bit. And then you can stay there or come forward, but first let's still stay active through the legs. So pressing down, sit bone in. Take one more breath in the active pigeon. And then let it all go. Release all effort. Be really chill. See if you can feel the diaphragm moving up and down in your abdomen as you stay here for 3 more breaths. And take your time. After that third breath, you're going to slowly start to come up. No hurry. We're going to shift toward that left sit bone and bring the back leg around. So come around to face you again. So again, option A, foot in front or cross it over. Even out, sitting up on a prop if you feel that's helpful. I'm going to make sure that low back doesn't drop down to the ground. Keep it in. And then just hug the shins for a moment, finding the connection between your left shin and your right leg and press. Good, and keep holding on with your right hand. Reach your left arm up. Inhale, reach taller. Exhale into the twist. And now as you hold here, rooting through the sit bone, start to pull that left sit bone back a little bit and find the connection between your right hand and left shin and press them into each other. It could be thigh too. Wherever your hand lands is fine. Breathing here in the twist, pressing the hand and leg into each other. On an inhale, coming back to the center, and then we find Gomukhasana. So we stack the knees on top of each other, even out the hips, and the feet are coming out toward the sides. Again, sitting up on a prop, a block if you need it, or finding Sukhasana, cross legs. Okay, so we're first gonna walk that right hand out, hook the thumb in the other hip and draw it down. Try to get that sit bone down, pull it back, and then start to turn over towards your left. As you pull down and pull back with that sit bone, the legs are also still making that connection between thigh bone and shin. Good, and then slowly release that, coming up, being really mindful as you release these postures. And now other hand comes out, walk it out. First, pin this hip down, right hip pins down, pull the sit bone back, turn toward your right. You can stay there or take the arm up and come into the side bend. Maybe now you walk that hand out a little more, bend the elbow, keep that sit bone pulling back and down, reach. And then carefully, slowly coming back up. You can stay vertical or take the forward fold for a few breaths. And back to that nice, conscious breath. The mind be quiet. Hold one more. And then slowly, slowly walking yourself up and undo your legs, stretch them out, roll them out, bounce them out, whatever you need to do. Okay, So let's come onto our backs. Find what you need for Shavasana, have it handy, maybe starting with a pillow under your head. Maybe you want something rolled up under your knees, so maybe a blanket roll. If you want to have an eye covering or a body covering, grab that. And then before we take Shavasana, let's just do a couple finishing things here. Maybe hug those knees into the chest, rock a little bit. And then we'll put the feet down on the ground for a moment. Actually, if that blanket rolls in your way, you might need to move it yet. Okay, let's take the feet as wide as the mat and windshield wiper one more time. And then drop both legs over to the left. Let them stay there. That might be enough. Or take that left foot, lift it, and place it on the right thigh. You get that extra weight to the stretch there on the side. And then the next stage might be to move your pillow and take your arms overhead, hold your right wrist and pull that wrist away from your hip and move your hip away from your wrist. Even kind of press the hip a little forward and lengthen through that whole right side. If that's too much, just skip it. Sometimes it's too much in the knee. And then let it go. And take the foot down, take the knees back up. Okay, other side, drop the knees over to the right. Come on to the edges of your feet. You might stay there or pick up the right foot, put the pinky side on your top of your left thigh. And then we want to lengthen the left side. So reach the arms overhead, hold your left wrist and give it a little traction as you move your hip and your wrist away from each other. Press that hip a little forward. Maybe press the legs down gently if it doesn't bother your knee. One more breath. And then let it go, let the arms go, release your foot. And one more time, just windshield wiper. Oh, I forgot to do our myofascial release. Knees in, we're out of time, guys. That would probably feel good about now. I'll show you guys what to do after class, and maybe you want to try it on your own. All right, so let's take a quick happy baby. Never enough time for everything. Drop through your tailbone, drop through your shoulders. You can stay with maybe holding your legs, holding your ankles or your feet, and maybe a little rock side to side. We'll do one more knee hug. And just pause there, let your lower back relax. All right, so finding your Shavasana now. Take those legs out, maybe support. I'm gonna come up to sit, but you guys stay on your backs. So whoever has time will do the roll after class. So cover up if you are cold, add your layers, get cozy. Give you another couple moments to settle. So we did a lot of work on that physical outermost layer of our being, the muscular layer, the physical anamaya-kosha. We worked on our breath through the pranamaya-kosha. We looked at our thoughts and we used our wisdom to make choices in our practice. And now we can find the bliss of pure relaxation. So allow your body now to fully release into gravity. Let those outer hips and the glutes soften and relax into the ground, as if the muscle could just gently fall away from the bone into gravity. Imagine the back of the skull allowing the content of your mind to drain into the ground, clearing the mind so that that mind can be quiet for this time of rest. Allowing yourself to feel like you're being absorbed into the ground. So your body dispersing, releasing all effort, and allowing the breath to become quiet, soft, and subtle. That breath so soft and quiet, but still reaching deeply into our lungs. Still allowing a movement through the diaphragm. Letting the back ribs sink deeper into the ground, melting. And after you've released some of the larger muscles, release some of the finer muscles of your face and your eyes and the tongue in your mouth. And feel yourself supported by the ground. We know that we can rely on this stability and support of the ground without fail. But sometimes in our lives and in our bodies, we might rely on our source of support a little too heavily. And when we do that, we're putting all the power into something, to one thing perhaps. And then we end up taxing that one thing. In this case, our IT bands. When those surrounding muscles are not supporting us and weaker, those IT bands can get crankier and tighter. So, just like the sources of support in our lives, if we rely on them too heavily, we put all that power into that source of support rather than perhaps looking at our own dysfunction. And how are we not supporting ourselves? Just like with that area of the IT band, when those other areas kind of get tight and are weak, and that IT band has to take over. But when we look at the dysfunction of the overstretch of the glute and the tightness and in the outer hip, we might be able to alleviate some of that strain on the support system. So we can take a look at our own lives and our sources of support and our own dysfunction and know where we are perhaps leaning a little too much on that support. We can maybe take some of the control, some of the power, some of the responsibility. And we can trust in the support of the earth that is always there for us. All right, guys, taking your time. You can slowly deepen into the breath, move fingers and toes, maybe stretch things out a little bit. Take your time to reawaken from that state of bliss and perhaps coming over to your side when you're ready and pausing there for a few moments. After you've had a moment or two on your side, take your time to press up. Bring your head up last, find a tall, comfortable seat. And I wanted to do meditation with you guys, but I don't want to keep you any longer. It's 12:22, so we'll save it for next week. But I will do the IT band rolling if you want to hang out. But for now, let's bring hands together in front of the heart space. And just have a few breaths here before we close. Just noticing the effects of your practice. On your next inhale, let the heart lift a little higher, and exhale, bow your head to your heart. Thank you, everyone. Namaste. All right, so feel free to unmute, guys. Let me know if any of you want to see the myofascial release if you have time. If not, we can do it another time. Anybody want to do that quick?
I can do it.
Yeah? Okay. I'll do it with you. If anyone wants to stay, it might feel good to roll it out now. Yeah, just ran out of time there. So let's take a yoga mat and roll it up so that it's rolled from the short edge.
Got it.
Okay. And those of you who are heading out, thanks for coming. I hope you had a good practice. And I will see you guys next time. All right. So put that rolled yoga mat kind of in the middle of the floor somewhere. If you have another mat, you can put it on top of your mat. And we're going to sit behind it. And we're going to start at the kind of top of the hip. That would be where the TFL is. And we're going to start to put our weight into the yoga mat. So a foam roller is a lot harder, as well as like tennis balls would be a lot harder. So I find that this is more gentle, but it's still effective. And then you're going to let your weight come into that side of your hip. You could even come down lower if you want to, or stay up higher. And then you're going to roll forward and back a little bit. And what this does is it helps to, yeah, it might be a little intense. It helps to hydrate the fascia, helps to bring circulation into the fascia, blood flow. And this is all really good for this IT band area, just to get some circulation in. Now, move it down a little bit. So now we're going to be kind of maybe mid-thigh. And again, rock forward and back. You can also, as opposed to rocking, you could just kind of let your weight sink into the roll. Sometimes that feels better. And kind of make note to yourself where the sensation is the most intense. So you might feel it more at the lower end or the upper end, middle, wherever that is for you. And now we'll go down again a little bit lower. So kind of lower thigh. Roll it out. And then you want to go down right to the top of the knee, because that's kind of the end where it often is irritated. Now for me, I feel more tightness at the top, right? And that goes in with that pattern of the tight TFL due to sitting. So I find, even though like I teach yoga, I end up sitting a lot because right now I'm doing all my privates on Zoom, and so I'm sitting a lot more, and I'm finding that the IT bands are not happy about that. plus, you know, just working on my newsletter, planning classes, all that stuff, I end up sitting. All right, let's switch sides and just go ahead and do starting at the very top of your hip. And rolling side to side. So I find when I do this myofascial release, if I loosen up some of the tightness at the top and then work on strengthening the area of the glute area, which we did with all that sit bone work, that helps the IT band not be so cranky. And then move it down a little bit. Mid upper thigh area. I don't hear too much complaining out there. Hopefully this isn't too intense.
Feels good.
Feels good? Good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you know, I do have a foam roller and I like it, but I do find it's way more intense. Okay, go down again one more time to the lower thigh, and then we'll do the area by the knee. So 2 more spots. And really don't be afraid to roll more on towards your quad a bit because it tends to be tight in there. They're all tied into each other through the fascial network. And then last time, the spot right above your knee, outer knee, and roll forward and back or let your weight drop in. Now, if you do this on a regular basis, you'll find that eventually you'll want something harder. So then you can move toward the tennis balls or the foam roller. But the yoga mat works if you don't have anything else. And then after you do this rolling, you might even want to do a quick check on one of those kind of hip opener poses and see if it's any different. So go ahead and come off. This could have been a whole workshop today. And then you might do like, yeah, you might kind of put like a pigeon leg. So bring your shin parallel to the top of the mat and do like a forward fold over it. And you'll feel like, to me, that's way more
Oh yeah,
open,
flexible.
less tension, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so just try that on both legs and just see how it feels. But yeah, I could go a lot farther than I would before the rolling.
Right.
So thanks for staying, guys.
Thank you.
All right.
Have a great day.
You have a great day too, guys. Thanks so much.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, Kathy. Bye, Ken.
Bye-bye. I think they left already.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.